Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Today we're making an absolute family favourite and that is a chicken and mushroom pie. So good. There's a couple of ingredients but it really is quite simple. First up of course we have some puff pastry. Now I'm going to use a commercially obtained one and in my case of course they're gluten free. We also have some Swiss brown mushrooms, chicken thighs, butter, creme fraiche, Dijon mustard and nutmeg, leek, chicken stock, thyme and rosemary, plain flour, egg, salt, olive oil, black pepper and a dash of milk. So the first thing we need to do is prep our leeks. So I've cut the leeks in half and run them under the tap because you often get some dirt and grime in under the leaves, and I am going to take away the outer leaf now. And we're only going to use the whites, which is up to about there. You certainly don't want any of the dark green in this dish. So we're now going to slowly sweat our leeks down. So into our pan, I'm going to pop my butter and a dash of oil to stop the butter browning. And I'll just let our butter melt. And now we just want to gently saute them, sweat them down, get them nice and sweet. Not too much colour, that's not the plan here. So my leeks are lovely and soft, and now I've chopped my chicken up into little bite-sized pieces. And so I'm just going to pop that in. And I'm just going to brown them for a minute or two, just to start getting that caramelisation going on the chicken. So our chicken started to pick up a little bit of colour and we're getting a bit of colouring in the pan. Just perfect. We're not trying to cook it all here because of course it's going to go in the oven. So now I'm going to add our flour. And what I want to do then is just toss this around. It's going to pick up all of that butter and the juices that have come out of the chicken. And I just want to cook that a minute. It's like making a bit of a roux. So now we're going to add our chicken stock and just stir that around to help pick up all the goodies at the bottom. So now I'm going to add my creme fraiche. You could use thick cream of course or sour cream, but creme fraiche has that wonderful tang. And the Dijon mustard, the herbs out of my garden and the mushrooms. I'm going to give that all a great big stir. Now, anytime we use cream, it's always enhanced with nutmeg. So you can use ground nutmeg, but I always prefer to freshly grind some in. And it just helps lift the flavours. And we're seasoning. And some pepper. Cook it for 3 or 4 minutes and then we're just going to turn off the heat and let it sit aside while we get our pastry ready. So let's talk about the pie dish, shall we? Now there is no reason why you can't have a solid pie dish that you then pop the filling in and put one layer of pastry on top. Perfect. But I'm going to use this one. Now because I'm using gluten-free puff pastry doesn't necessarily give you the crisp and flakiness that ordinary puff pastry does. And I found I get amazing results from using this dish that has the perforations. By the perforations in there helps dry and crisp my base, and I don't actually have to blind bake to make this work. So that's what I'm going to use today. If you don't have a perforated pie dish, then you will need to blind bake, and all the instructions for that are in my blog at the link as usual. So unfortunately, gluten-free pre-made puff pastry is slightly smaller than ordinary that you purchase, and as you'll see, it will give me the bottom of my dish, but it won't give me the sides. So I'm just going to roll my pastry out just a little bit more so that I get the sides of my dish. Now the trick for putting your pie well into the bottom is to get a little bit of the corner that you know you're not going to use, roll it into a ball, and then use that ball to press the pastry in. That way you don't put your fingers through the pastry. Now you may have noticed I got a little crack on the side there, so I've just got my ball, I made it a little bit bigger and made it really soft and pliable, and I'm just going to use that as a patch over the bit where the crack came and just press it in with my fingers. So now we're up to putting our filling into our pie dish, nice and gently. Now I'm going to pull out the bits of rosemary and thyme. They've done their job. So now we're up to putting our top on. And what I'm going to do then is crimp down my edges to make sure where it wasn't quite high on the sides that the top comes over. Now with a fork, I'm just going to crimp those two layers of pastry together a little bit and punch some holes to let the air out as it's cooking. So to make our egg wash, I've put my egg in a bowl and I'm literally just going to do a splash of milk. And a quick whisk. Now I've put my pie dish on a baking tray just to make it easy to get in and out of the oven. And I'm just going to brush our egg wash quite generously over the pie. This is what helps it go that gorgeous golden colour. So now we're going to pop this into the oven at 170 degrees Celsius fan forced for 30 minutes until the top is gorgeous and golden. Can't wait. My kitchen smells amazing. Look at that. Oh, that smells so delicious. Now we do need to let this sit here for about 5 minutes. It'll help solidify it all together as we cut it. Otherwise all of your gravy will just run out when you try and cut your pie. But that looks delicious. Can't wait to dig in. Now for all the details of today's recipe, don't forget to check out my blog at the link below. But as always, the best bit's in the eating. The buttery flakiness of the pastry, the creaminess of that sauce, and of course those mushrooms and herbs. This is just delightful. I hope your family enjoys it as much as mine does. Until next time everybody, ciao.